Alrighty, I finally met up with Gene Odom here, and we pulled up here and Gene's truck overheated a little bit, so I told him to jump behind the wheel of mine.
It's not my truck, it's Linda's.
Yeah, it's his lady friend's truck. So
I think it's just low on water, I hope.
Yeah.
I'll keep your fingers crossed.
yeah, we wanna let it cool down, and so we jumped in this one. Hopefully this one won't break, because I think Gene and I both had the same kind of luck. But anyway, this is Gene Odom here, and Gene is an interesting guy. He is a childhood friend and longtime friend with Ronnie Van Zant, the late great Ronnie Van Zant of Lynyrd Skynyrd. He grew up with him, and he also grew up with all the band members, and so he's good enough to take me around today and show me some spots, and we're gonna have a good time looking at some stuff. And Gene's got lots of good stories to tell and things like that, because I've heard some of them before. First thing I'm gonna do, Gene, is I'm gonna ask you, and I know you've
Let me get this before you ask.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about his truck breaking down. I'm worried about running in the back of somebody talking to y'all.
Well, you just look straight ahead and don't worry about looking here.
Okay, good then. Right.
And you probably heard this question so many times you got it memorized. How is it that you came to know Ronnie Van Zant and all those guys that are in the band?
We grew up in the same neighborhood there. Back then we called it Shantytown on the west side. This is the west side, but Shantytown. They call it the bottom now because it went to the bottom.
So you like were just in the same neighborhood, a few houses down maybe from Ronnie?
Well, in the 40s, when we were born, 48, 49, 40, right there, we lived right in town, and then we left town on Palmetto Street, and we moved right down there on the same street that the Van Zants lived on as little kids, Mall Street. And then we stayed there. I got to get over here. Y'all watch me a minute. On Mall Street, for kids, as kids growing up, me and Ronnie, we were all friends, little kids playing ball and swimming in the ditches when hurricanes came around. And then we moved to underneath the Matthews Bridge for about a year in the late 50s. Late 50s, let's say 50s, for about a year. Then we moved back to Pangola Drive, the street over from Mall Street. And so that's where we grew up and became grown boys and men and so forth and so on there. He was on Mall Street, and I was on Pangola Drive.
And then all the band members, you guys all went to school together, or they were in the same neighborhood? And
well, some of them went to school together, some of us did, some of us didn't. Actually, elementary school, we and Ronnie went to elementary school, Bob Burns. But we didn't know Bob then, but early, way back in the 60s. And when the city became, what did they call it back then? Watch it, lady. Okay. When the city became, when they consolidated the county of Duval into the city. So the city of Jacksonville is the whole county of Duval, largest city on the planet in land area and square miles. Jacksonville is over 700 miles of county, of city, 700 miles. They made Woodcrest Road the splitting point from Hyde Park Elementary to Ramona. If you lived on the north side of Woodcrest, you went to Ramona. If you lived on the south side of Woodcrest, which we did, you went to Hyde Park and stayed at Hyde Park. Ronnie was on the north side, so he was transferred to Ramona. And me and Bob Burns stayed at Hyde Park Elementary School. And then from there went to Lakeshore Junior High School and would have went on to Lee. I would have, Bob went to Ed White, I believe. And Ronnie went to Lee. I would have went to Lee High School, but I didn't get to high school. I was, I got out of school in the 9th grade. The hardest 3 years of my life was the 3rd grade. Boy, man.
Yeah, you and me both. I think I failed my 1st grade because my parents were getting a divorce, so I didn't go then. But now, people that don't know, Bob Burns was a drummer.
Bob was the original drummer. The band started by Ronnie and Gary, then got, excuse me a minute.
Bless you.
You. I've been blessed with the worst white luck of any man alive. Any white man alive, excuse me. My luck runs out just before I wake up every morning. What was I saying?
You were talking about it's the band and how they started, and it was Gary Rossington.
Ronnie and Gary got started. Ronnie got with Gary because Ronnie sang in another band briefly. Just I can't think of the name of it now. He wanted to be a singer, and so then Larry Junstrom, which was at Lee, the bass player, and then we needed a drummer, or vice versa, or needed a drummer. Anyway, Ronnie playing baseball down. We're going to stop out there, and Ronnie hit a ball, and actually it hit Bob Burns, not in the head, but right in the shoulder, and it knocked Bob down. Ronnie ran over there, and we all did. Everybody ran over there, and said, "It's Bob Burns." And Ronnie goes, "Bob Burns, Bob, you're a drummer." Bob says, "Yeah, I play drums." Ronnie says, "Good, we need a drummer in the band." So Bob became the drummer, and Alan Collins was playing in the band called the Mods, J.R. Rice's band, and I think Larry Steele was in that band. And Ronnie and Gary were riding down the road one day, and Alan was on his bicycle, and they hollered at Alan about wanting to play, and Alan throws his bicycle down and run because he heard about how mean me and Ronnie and everybody was. And so a day or two later, I'm going over to Ronnie's house for some reason, and I looked down the road where JR lived. There was an open lot still there. They were playing baseball. So I ran around the corner, and Alan Collins was pitching. And I went on left, went to Ronnie's house. I said, "Hey man," I said, "they're playing ball. Alan Collins is pitching. Let's go get him and put him in your band." So me and Ronnie jumped in his Mustang, and we run down there and run up on the mound, and we got Alan Collins and said, he come in to play with this band with these guys. And me and Ronnie told JR and the rest of them, "Y'all, we'll come pick his guitar and his amplifier up later." So Ronnie took Alan to his house, and they talked, and Alan Collins became a part of the band, which was Ronnie, Gary, Larry Junstrom, Bob Burns, and Alan Collins. That was your first 5.
That was the nucleus.
That was the nucleus.
So you kidnapped Alan.
We kidnapped him and made him a part of the band, and the rest of that's history. But what was I going to say? Man, I'm getting old. And about that time, when they started the band, I came up with a name. They had a name for a day or two, Conquer the Worm. The first one was My Backyard. Kind of played My Backyard. And the first rehearsal place was Larry Junstrom's carport, where they first struck their first notes. And, excuse me, that's not right. Bob Burns' carport is where they put the band that first started rehearsing in Bob's carport. They were at Alicia and Hyde Park. Bob's family told them to get lost, go too loud, and they went around the corner to Larry Johnson's. I'll show you that as we tour.
Okay. All right. So we're here at the cemetery then, where a lot of the guys that are no longer around are buried. So we're gonna go take a look. Right here's where Leon's buried. This is Leon Wilkerson. He was the bassist. I guess he took Johnstrom's place.
Larry Junstrom.
Larry Johnstrom's place.
Larry didn't like Skynyrd dryness, so Larry switched over and became the drummer when they started the band 38 Special.
That's a nice little headstone there.
His son did that for him.
Son did it. Son had.
Buried next to him.
Okay. Now this isn't really where they have Ronnie buried, is it?
Yeah.
It is? This
Now
is where
it is, yeah.
It is now? Okay.
He was out at Orange Park, but here, get this on tape. When Ronnie first passed away, Judy had him buried out at Orange Park because she was the next of kin along with her daughter, and then he had Tammy by his first wife. So when his mausoleum was broken into out there and disturbed, they pulled the casket out. They didn't open the casket, but they pulled it part of the way out of the mausoleum. I don't find a mausoleum here to show you a picture of whatever, but then what to do with that became the next of kin. And she wasn't the next of kin because she's a widow. The next of kin was his two daughters. Tammy being the oldest daughter and Melody being by Judy, the youngest daughter. And the Van Zandt family had this plot. Lacey and sister had this across here. And this is where the Van Zandts wanted him to be buried to begin with.
Oh, I see.
So when Tammy and the Van Zandt family overrode Judy and Melody, they put him here. And he's buried here. And when they, to keep that never happening again, and put the lid on it, they had a concrete truck come out, pour 3 feet of concrete.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So
That's terrible. You have to do something like that. Okay, here's Gene with his buddy Ronnie here.
They better not come try to take this flag down.
Yeah, I don't think that would be a good idea.
Mess with this monument. There'll be liberals laying all over the cemetery, above ground.
I agree with that.
Yes, sir. That's Lacey and sister. Like I said, Lacey and sister had this plot, and this is where they wanted Ronnie buried the whole time. And the Van Zandt bench. You can tell where all the people come.
Yeah, you can see the grass is worn out here.
They replace this grass about every 6 months. Yep. And there's usually a lot more paraphernalia up there.
Ronnie Van Zandt and his best friend Gene.
My fishing buddy.
It's his fishing buddy. I don't know if you can see it. Here's a little lure right here.
Yeah, somebody left him a little fishing lure. It ain't the one he'd like to fish with. That's salt water, but he won't mind. He's happy with that.
All right, Gene. Well, let's go look at something else.
We'll go across there to Allen.
We're live.
Okay. Barely. What's left of it. From the first time that Ronnie and the boys started rehearsing and playing on stage until their death, the plane crash, Ronnie Van Zandt was center stage. Always to his left was Leon Wilkerson. Always to his right was Alan Collins. There's Ronnie Van Zandt, center stage. To his left is Leon Wilkerson. To his right is Alan Collins. They're buried in death the way they played on stage.
And that happened in accident.
Yeah. He did. Alan was producing.
Standing here at Alan Collins' gravesite, and Gene just picked up an album. Looked like the last album that
Rossington Collins Band.
Rossington Collins Band.
The first one, the first record.
The first record?
The first Rossington Collins record, yeah. The second one was a total flop. This one was a success. It was the second one was a total flop because Alan Collins didn't produce it. Alan Collins didn't write none of the music on it. Alan Collins didn't work on the second record. The second record was garbage, but this one was good. It's killing the grass. I'm gonna put it over here so it don't kill the grass.
And this is where his wife and he's buried.
I don't know what that is. Well, that's I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
It's round. It might be you know what it is? It's a bracelet. It's 2 bracelets. What kind of bracelets?
A I bet there's all kinds of strange stuff you can find at these sites.
Guitar picks.
Yeah, guitar picks.
Jim Dunlap. Hercule Plex. I made him a cross out of lead with a magnet.
Somebody
I got a magnet on the back of it.
made that.
That's steel. It's like lead, but it's steel. Yep. We won't stick to the bronze, but that's a good sentiment.
Alan Collins.
Alan Collins. That was the sound of Lynyrd Skynyrd. Without that man right there, you'll never ever achieve the sound of Lynyrd Skynyrd band. Gary did the Rosington album. Alan did the Alan Collins band album. It was shipped a $250,000 to the East Coast when we started that tour, and he got paralyzed. That album would have been platinum in 2 weeks, multi-platinum, if he hadn't got paralyzed. I was in his dad's office when MCA called shortly after he got paralyzed and said, Alan Collins' band album is the best album since Street Survival, but they can't put no money behind it because he's paralyzed, and they let it do what it was going to do.
Yeah, couldn't do any touring or anything like that.
Yeah, so they just let it go. But they said it was the best album since Street Survivor. That's called the Alan Collins. Without Alan Collins, you don't have no Lynyrd Skynyrd sound.
Well, with that plane crash and then his wife dying, you know, it probably just sent him over the edge.
His wife. Kathy was 4 months pregnant. You women. She started spotting. She called the doctor and said, I've started spotting, whatever. So the doctor told her to go in the bed, lay down in the bed flat of her back. Don't move for a week. Let somebody feed her and bring her whatever. So Kathy laid in the bed the whole week. And Friday, she called the doctor and said she had stopped spotting. Could she take her daughters to the movie? The doctor said, yes, go to the movie, but you be in my office Monday morning. So she went to the theater to see a movie with the girls. And in the movie, I guess she felt something happened, went wrong or whatever, felt nauseated, sick. She takes Allison, the youngest daughter, to the bathroom. Kathy sits on the toilet, and what had happened the week, well, let me say, and so she fell over on the floor, died. Allison wandered outside in the lobby. Judy happened to be in the same theater complex with her daughter. So Judy was bringing Melody to the bathroom or whatever. So Judy sees Allison in the hall, crying, wandering around. So Judy, what's going on? Mama's in the bathroom sick. Judy opens up the door and finds Kathy on the floor dead.
Wow, what a coincidence there.
Man, yeah. So the week that she laid on the bed to stop spotting, the fetus died inside of her, and gangrene set in. And what happened to her, her main artery from her heart to her stomach aneurysed and busted, and she just bled out on the floor.
Wow.
Sad. That was the end of Alan Collins. That started his downfall.
Yeah, he never had any kind of rest from
his childhood sweetheart. No. What would have turned him around was that album that he did. We started touring Alan Collins band, and he wanted to do these shows and stuff, but that, her death, and the dope drugs got him.
Yeah.
If he could have stayed on the road another month, I could have got him away from all that crap, and he'd have turned around.
But what a guitarist, huh?
Ooh.
Natural.
Yeah, natural. Ball field.
It's the old ball field here?
Ronnie hit Bob Burns in the shoulder with the baseball on third base out there, and Ronnie ran out there, and it's because Bob was freaking out because he got the hell knocked out of him. Ronnie said, Bob Burns, you're a drummer. Bob said, yeah, I'm a drummer. So that Ronnie said, you come into the band. I want you. So Bob Burns became a member of the band out here on this field. Come on.
Was who all was it? It was Ronnie and Bob Burns, and who else?
Gary Rosington, Larry Johnstrom, and then Alan Collins. Alan was the last one to get in the band.
I mean, who was out here that day whenever he hit?
Gary, me, Gary, Bob Burns, Ronnie, and I think that's all of us then. Of course, there may have been another, I can't remember. How many of y'all are Tim Tebow fans? You a Tim Tebow fan?
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. I heard about that, yeah. Tim Tebow came from here.
This is where it came from, right here.
That's right. Tim Tebow.
Tim Tebow.
Good
Ronnie
man.
Van Zant. Oh, yes, sir, buddy. But this is the field where Ronnie hit Bob with the
Does
third
it
base.
look pretty much the same?
Yeah, it's called, back then it was called Criswell Field. Now it's the Lakeshore Athletic Association. Play football. Football season, there'd be a bunch of little football players out here. Kids. This Lakeshore Athletic Association is a big deal. The Pop Warner, like you said, Tim Tebow, and should put Tim Tebow and Ronnie Van Zant.
Yeah, it should. I mean, right?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I can't say that on this camera, but there should have been a whole lot more recognition. And I'm gonna say this. Ronnie Van Zant, the city of Jacksonville should have given a whole lot more recognition to Ronnie Van Zant and the Van Zant brothers. They didn't, and that's one of the reasons that Johnny and Donnie really don't care about this.
Well, it's, you know, good,
I mean, that's
clean Southern rock
the record.
music, you know, I mean.
This town should have showed Ronnie Van Zant the respect that he deserves. It still gets 40 years after his death, he still sells millions of albums. Who does that? The Beatles and Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
Ronnie Van Zant. I mean, I give him credit. Till the day I die, I'll give him credit.
Yeah, he was a genius. He was a genius.
He was a genius. And Ronnie Van Zant's music changed rock and roll music.
Definitely, yeah.
Southern rock and roll to Ronnie, and I'm not Allman Brothers, and the rest of them got Ronnie Van Zant was what should I say? The scientist, the music scientist that changed rock and roll.
Did he know the Allman Brothers?
Oh,
yeah.
They all together down with Allman Joyce at the Pussycat Club and the R&R bar. That's where Judy worked at. R&R, where I met her. Greg Allman. Greg, they lived on Iona Street over there. About 67, 68, when he to keep from being drafted.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
And Ronnie just legitimately broke his ankle, right?
Right at Lee
in
High School.
4F.
Playing football. The first practice game from scrimmage. His ankle busted and they had to put a couple pins in it. It kept him from being drafted because he had them pins in his ankle. And Greg Allman to keep him being drafted.
I never heard that one, I guess.
True story, son.
Yeah.
Guarantee it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm sure if you Google it or someplace.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. He bobtail.
Well, Ted Nugent did something kind of weird, too.
I'll take you to see a Marine. That'll tell you about it, son. And get mad as hell.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And knew him personally. Lived right down the street from him.
Well, that's why I like hanging out with you here, because I mean, there's a lot of stuff that that you know that, of course, I would never tell, but it's interesting the things that you don't know.
Oh, yes. There's a lot of things people don't know about, especially about people.
Yeah.
Yeah, shit, yeah.
Okay, we're right over here at Ronnie Van Zant's house, and I guess it's all right that we walk over here. This is where he grew up. Him and Gene used to hang out together.
Yeah, played ball here. Of course, Lacey remodeled it 2 or 3 times. It's not the same looking like it used to be. You call that remodeling?
And Lacey was a truck driver, right?
Yeah. Probably the best truck driver. Lacey Van Zant did it all by the book. Even a car, driving a car or a pickup truck or van, but he was a professional driver. Lacey Van Zant was probably the #1 truck driver in the world because he did everything by the book. He didn't break no rules or no laws. That's too dark.
This is the original front door.
Could be. The house has been remodeled, like I said, but it's been so long back you can't really. He ain't grouted it yet.
Yeah, it looks like they put some tile in there.
Jimmy's putting some tile in there. He hasn't grouted it yet. I don't know if he's working in here today or not. No, he got everything moved out of there though. Got plenty of tile and it looks like he stopped.
It's like some flooring.
Here's the, come here, here's the, before Lacey added on to it, this was the carport. That was the kitchen. The carport, and then that little area there was back this way a little bit. Lacey added on to about 5 or 6 feet, so about where it goes down at. And we'd run across the roof and hit those bamboos and ride those bamboos to the ground. We did that for years.
Same original bamboo over there.
Same original bamboo. I'm sure that some of us died and gone away, but it's original bamboo. We grab them, and after you itch, God, you itch crazy.
I can see you guys up there now running across there grabbing that bamboo.
Knowing how Lacey built that thing, I wouldn't run across it.
Interesting. That's Ronnie Van Zant grew up right here, and I imagine
this guy's plan is remodel the 2 apartments in the back. He's going to rent those out. We might have them already rented out. But his goal is to take this part, Ronnie's old bedroom, which would have been Donnie's, and then after Ronnie was gone, Johnny's growing up. That bedroom, he's going to turn it into a recording studio and make this a historical place. That's his goal.
Oh.
He's already got permission to do a sign about the historical place. He hasn't put it up here yet. As soon as he finishes this place redoing it, he's going to put that into a recording studio so you can come record your hit song in Ronnie Van Zant's old bedroom.
yeah, that's kind of cool.
I might record one of my new hit songs in there.
Okay.
I got several. Those ain't.
Guess several just hadn't got them on paper
I
yet.
hadn't. They're on paper. I guess I haven't put no music to them yet.
And this is Alan Collins' house, and we're trying to make a
Quick
quick getaway before they come out and run us off.
Yeah, and the neighbor, they don't want to get tired of it.
But this is where Alan Collins grew up, right here.
2259.
Okay, Gene's stopping right here in front of Gary Rossington's house when he grew up. His sister owns it now, and we'll take a quick peek at it before she runs us off.
Yeah, well, she's holding up. She don't like nobody. She don't like nobody coming up to her property.
That's where Gary Rossington grew up.
Yep, that's Gary Rossington. And this next place is where Alan's sweetheart, Kathy, came from. Kathy.
Is this anywhere near Ronnie's house and where you lived?
About 10 blocks. This yellow house here is where Kathy Collins came from. Her name was Johns, and her sister lives here still.
Kathy Collins.
Yep, that's where Kathy Collins come from.
Pretty nice house still.
Kathy Johns, yep, her sister keeps it up. Alright, let's see, now we gotta go down, let's see, get this window up. Okay, we've been by Ronnie's, Alan, Gary's, we gotta go to Bob Burns.
Bob Burns' house.
Larry Johnston's, and then Alan's.
So this is the neighborhood that they all grew up in and
Yep.
kicked around and rode bicycles and things like
Leon
that.
and Billy will go by where their houses were.
So that song, forget which song it was.
Curtis Lowe.
Curtis Lowe, yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we used to get up in the morning and get the soda bottles and take them down to the. That was Ronnie wrote that about you, huh?
Yeah. Now, believe me, Gary Rosington didn't stick in them getting them ditches and needed as Ronnie Van Zant. The Van Zants were too proud of people to take them Coke bottles to the store for 2 cents and then a nickel. The Van Zants, Lacey was a truck driver, made good money, whatever. They had wash tubs, big old number 3, number 4, 5, 7 wash tubs out there, full of Coke bottles behind the Van Zant's house. When I couldn't find any in the ditches, I'd just go to the Van Zant's house and put 5 bottles on my fingers, and I'd go to that store with 10 bottles and make 20 cents. That's enough for a RC Cola and a moon pie and a little left over back then, and take a bunch of bottles down there. And Ronnie, I can honestly say I never seen one of the Van Zants take no bottles to Claude's store.
Didn't need to.
No, Lacey made good money. Of course, Ronnie was working at 16. He was married, and Nadine, he had that daughter, Tammy, and Ronnie working at his brother-in-law's auto parts store, Mars Auto Supply, and Lacey truck driver, made a little money.
Well, was there a Curtis Lowe, an actual Curtis Lowe?
No.
No?
Down on Woodcrest, there was a few black families down there, Stokes family. But Claude Hamner that owned the store was a white guy, bald-headed. He would play the flat top old country music for us. But writing the song, I understand that there's 7 aspects of this. There's several aspects of that. Me picking up the Coke bottles, and then I think Ronnie referenced a kind of the blues playing to Dwayne Allman, and you couldn't write a Southern rock blues song about a bald-headed white guy playing the flat top.
Right.
You had him, Ronnie with the black and the white hair, Curtis Lowe. You know, you gonna write a blues song, you gotta do it about a black blues player, not a white bald-headed guy at the store, Claude's Midway Meats. Back then it was called. And then Claude's Midway Grocery. And then when he moved up to Plymouth Street, we just called it Claude's Store then. So
he knew you used to get up early and dig around in the ditches for soda bottles, and he said, "Yeah, that's a good thing."
It ain't been that long ago that I was still doing it. Ooh, right here. That carport right there. That house was Bob Burns' house. That carport was enclosed back then in the '60s. That's where Bob, Ronnie, Alan, Larry Johnstrom, and Gary started the first picking the notes. I gotta pull out here for the traffic going around the back of us. And that carport's where the Lynyrd Skynyrd band originated. My backyard started right there. 1%.
Right there in that carport used to be closed in, and that was their practice place.
Yeah. And so they didn't practice there long because they got too noisy. Larry Johnstrom lived right around here, and they went from there to Larry Johnstrom's house and Larry Johnstrom's living room. And that didn't last long because Larry's parents put him out on the street. They went over to Riverside a couple places, and they rented a couple places, and ended up another place or two, and then finally ended up at the Hell House. This house right here, the yellow house.
This yellow house?
Yeah. It's Larry Johnstrom's house.
Larry Johnstrom's house.
I'm not mistaken.
Looks like it's vacant.
Yeah, it's vacant. All these places are vacant. They're crack houses.
So you got the lights on though. And coming up here right now on the oak tree, You're in My Way, where Gary Rossington nailed the oak tree that's in the song, and this is it right here. It's got a couple little scars on it.
Yeah. Uh-oh, we gotta move. You got to move.
Yeah, we don't want to get rear-ended.
On the rear end.
That was the oak tree.
That was the oak tree.
All right, here we are at the high school. And what happened here, Gene?
This is Robert E. Lee High School, where Ronnie and Gary and Larry Johnstrom went to high school. These motherfuckers have taken Robert E. Lee off of it in the last week or so. Yeah, I guess that's okay, because this school's 98% black now anyway, so. Name it, I don't know. Where's they gonna fucking end?
When's the last time you were here?
A couple weeks ago.
And it was up then?
Yeah. Yeah.
Missing the Robert E. Lee.
Go get a real good picture of this Robert E. Lee High School, because it's the last time I'll ever come back. Can name the damn thing. Let's get the hell out of here. The gymnasium.
They didn't get the gymnasium yet.
They ain't got the gymnasium yet. At the gymnasium for the generals.
Still got Robert E. Lee on the gymnasium.
Yeah, they didn't get that yet.
They're probably working on it.
Hey, I guarantee they're working on it. They ain't seen that yet. Oh, they ain't smart enough to see that. Lynyrd, Ronnie, look what they're doing.
Okay, where we at here, Gene?
Morris Auto Supply. Ronnie's brother-in-law, Bill Morris, owned this auto parts store in 1969. I was working for Ronnie, working for Bill Morris. Ronnie was the manager. And this was the store, Morris Auto Supply. When I got drafted in 1969, this is where Ronnie worked at. And then Bill opened up a new location over on Beach Boulevard in University, Morris Auto Supply 2. And Ronnie was sent there to manage that store, and I was sent over there as a parts runner, and that's where I was drafted from in May of 1969, working for Morris Auto Supply and working for Ronnie Van Zandt. This is where Ronnie honed his skills, memorizing all the numbers in them books and stuff, like he did his songs. He didn't wrote no songs down. He never wrote no numbers down. If you needed a part, you'd just go out in the back and pick the part up, tell you the numbers and get it. Unbelievable.
And there was some kind of story that you were telling too about so many sales. If you won so many sales or something, then you got a trip to Hawaii or wherever.
This was it.
And you went with Lacey.
Yeah. Every year, Delco Remy, spark plugs and Delco Remy parts, if their stores did so much money, Delco Remy would give them an all-expense paid vacation every year. And they would be 50 or 100 people from all over the country that owned stores that did so much volume, they would get a free all-expense paid vacation. And that year, May of that year, it was to Honolulu, Hawaii. And Bill and his wife, Joanne, couldn't go, so they gave the 2 tickets to Lacey and Sister. Sister wouldn't fly, Ronnie wouldn't fly, none of them Van Zandts would fly, the rest of them were too young. So Lacey got me to go with him to Honolulu, Hawaii in 1969 on an all-expense paid vacation by Delco Remy. AC, back then it was, I think, AC Delco or Delco Remy. And when I came back off of that vacation, my draft papers was in the mailbox. I went from a vacation to drafted in the Army.
At least you made it to Germany, though.
Yeah,
Instead.
and thanks, Ronnie, because he wouldn't fly. And he hated to fly, and that's what killed him. Then, lot number 129 and lot number 128. That property is where the actual Hell House sit. I'll show you, but the Hell House sit right in by that cedar tree. And they got these 2 lots divided up. This one is 60 points of an acre. That one is half an acre. This is basically a half an acre lot. You know what they want for this lot?
How much?
$400,000, $395,000.
Wow! Just because they know that the Hell House.
Yeah. So you could the Hell House property, $800,000 is what it could buy.
Good Lord.
Lord is right. Ronnie Van Zandt with a heart attack. That poor old John Hogan would die too if he knew that.
So we're out here on the Hell House property, which was a big spread, and they turned it into a subdivision. And then these lots are where the Hell House was. The Hell House was a place where they practiced.
Where all that great Skynyrd music comes from.
Where all the Lynyrd Skynyrd music came from, and Ronnie used to come out here on the dock and hear him play and come up with lyrics. Well, the good thing is, I guess, you don't have to sneak over there by the railroad track anymore.
No. Better watch out, rattlesnakes, cottonmouth.
Where's the cedar tree you were talking about?
Right there.
That's the cedar tree?
The cedar tree that when you drive by I can identify the property. There's another one on here somewhere. But that cedar tree right there is how you identify this property. By not knowing it, you know. The dock is right down there. The Hell House actually set, the dock's right down there. The Hell House actually set right in this area right here. This is where the Hell House sits. You're standing on the Hell House property where the music came from.
Well, it is a really nice, quiet place.
Now, and if you pay $400,000 this lot, you can't build past that to the water. You can't build past that.
Yeah.
That's a floodplain now, and you can only build up here. If you build, of course, you can build.
That's the creek that Ronnie fished in right there.
That's Peters Creek. It goes out into Black Creek, which goes out into the St. Johns River. But this is a tributary off of a creek that comes off of the St. Johns River. And there used to be a monster gator out here, and I'm sure there still is some gators.
And back in the day, in the late 60s, you'd come out here fishing?
Yeah, man, certainly. Late 60s, early 70s, and all the way up to 76. When we built the 76 and 77, when they built the studio over there, this was the spot, the Hell House. The original dock is under this one. A guy that stayed here as a caretaker for the people that bought the property for years. You know what? A gator just went down right there. See that big old wave?
I heard a splash when we came up here.
There's a gator right there. He just went down. A small one. That was a gator right there, buddy. Guarantee it.
Yeah, I heard a big splash.
That was a gator. He come over that grass and went in the water.
Well, the other dock must have been pretty close to the water.
Well,
There's water up, is it?
It's up now because of all the rain we've had, yeah. And but the old dock is under there. And whoever buys this, I'm gonna come down here one day, if I can, before they do it. If somebody buys it, I'm gonna say, if you're gonna build a new dock and you tear this up, I want them old boards underneath here. If I can get.
Yeah, you can make some picture frames out of that.
If I can get to them before they tear it up.
Because I think it's underwater, or I can see it right there. It's just right at the surface.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, that's the original dock down there. Right, because the water's up because of all that rain we've been having. If we be quiet, that old gator will come up.
Looks like it'd be some good fishing in here, huh?
There is some good brim fishing, bass fishing, and right time of the year, there's some big old stripers that come through here. Back then, we didn't know that, but you got to know when they come through and what to fish when you catch them stripers.
So there was a little trail that went right up there, and then the Hell House sat right up there,
The Hell House was right
near
there.
that cedar tree.
Mm-hmm. Between right up there, this side of that cedar.
And this big old pine was here all along, right?
I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was.
Yeah, it's pretty old pine.
It's been there a long time.
Pretty cool. There's the trestle over there. Did they shoot a picture on the trestle over there once?
Yeah, for the album, yeah.
Yeah, for the album.
And it was wood back then. They've redone it, made it concrete over the years.
If I could get it with the camera, but yeah.
Come on up, Peter. Where you at? You might wait till we leave before he comes up.
Well, that's pretty nice to be able to come out here on the dock and look around.
Yeah, they would. That old hot hell house. They'd come out here and jump in this creek.
Oh, they go swimming out here?
Shoot, yeah, man. They'd be jumping over this dock out there. Because it's 100 degrees in there. Shoot, yeah.
I bet.
That old river, that creek's way up.
Yes, you can tell.
Yeah, it's way up.
Be a nice place for a moccasin to be hanging, huh?
That's right, buddy. Kid, I'm watching. I'm watching. I'm getting pretty good shot maybe. I'm at the pitch.
Right here is the trestle. A lot of people used to come up here and listen to them jamming because they couldn't get on the property, and it was the only way to hear them. So, but that's back when it was a wooden trestle. But this is the creek right here, and where the trestle was. Okay, I'm home now from Jacksonville, and I'm going through the files and editing the video that I took of Gene Odom. And while I was there in Jacksonville, we were at the restaurant, and Gene was nice enough to do a drawing of the aircraft that the band was on and that he was on when it crashed. And he did a little detailed drawing for me and explained some things. As you can see right here, Gene Odom, to Griff, and this is what he drew. I wish I could have had him explain it, but the noisy restaurant wouldn't allow that there. It was just way too noisy. So I'm going to have to, off my memory, at the best recollection I can, do it myself. And don't hold me to it, but I think I've got a pretty good idea of what he told me. And I'll check with him on this too. But anyway, this is what he drew, and as you can see right here, this is the cockpit with the two pilots. This is a galley right here, that's the bathroom, and this was a couple seats that had a table in it, and this is a bench seat with a little table in it there. And there's a couple seats here, a bulkhead, some passenger seats here, and some more tables back here where I believe they used to play poker. And then you had your right wing and left wing over here. And from what Gene told me, you had Gary Rossington sitting here, Alan Collins was here, Kevin Ellison, which was a sound guy, was sitting here, and then you had Steve Gaines and Dean Kilpatrick, the two pilots right here, and Ronnie was laying right down here between this table and this bench that the guys were on, and he was trying to get some sleep. He had taken a couple sleeping pills and he was pretty much out of it, but he had to lay here in order to have enough room to lay down and not be in anybody's way if they wanted to get up here into the galley. So Gene was telling me that the plane started sputtering, and it was flying pretty erratic because it was losing fuel, and this was the engine that they were having problems with initially, and then this engine, finally the other engine gave out when they ran out of fuel. And when Gene realized that they were going to crash, he came over here and he had a hard time waking Ronnie up. Ronnie didn't believe that the plane was crashing. Gene picked him up and put him between Gary and Alan Collins and strapped him in, put a pillow in his lap, and told him we're going to crash. And so he was still, I guess, fighting the thought that it was going to do that. Then I guess all of a sudden they started hitting trees, and Gene started running back this way, and that's when they impacted the ground. And from what I remember, and I think that's why Gene drew this little crack right here, this back end of the fuselage broke open, and it threw Gene out underneath this very wing that had the engine on it with the problem. And you can see right here he put me, that's Gene, and that's where he suffered his injuries. He had some kind of a de-icing, phosphorus de-icing unit went off, and that's where he lost his eye, burned him really bad. And I believe he said that Billy Powell landed here, and I think he said that he remembered seeing Billy talking to him or something before he lost consciousness. Not real sure about that. But of course, Steve Gaines, Dean Kilpatrick, and Ronnie died in the impact that were up here. Of course, Cassie Gaines and the two pilots also died. I'm not sure where Cassie was on the seating arrangements here. But he said that it threw Ronnie up against this bulkhead, and it's where he hit his head. And a lot of the baggage and personal items and people came flying up front, and it basically, I think he said, between the head injury and the people and items on him, that he suffocated. This was all smashed up front here, and the pilots died. So this is my version of what Gene Odom told me. I hope it's correct. There's other versions out there. Artemis Pyle, which he's got a complete different version that Gene is not real happy with, that he doesn't believe. But anyway, this is what Gene told me, and for the record, I hope it's correct. I think it's pretty accurate, and I think Gene would agree with everything I said. So this is the end of the video, and I really enjoyed shooting it, and I hope this adds a little confirmation to kind of what happened there, and the guys growing up in their neighborhood. Had a lot of fun doing it.